Kelly's heart made to be a star made. If she dances with or without a band, hooray for Hollywood. Bring your trumpet and get your feet.
Yes, indeed. Hooray for Hollywood. My name is Daniel, and this is As the Reel Turns, your place for all things movie and television. And we are so happy to be back, but we are also so sad because we are down to our last two shows of the semester. Oh, so sad. Sad. Anyway, but you know what? I was thinking, after last week we did our 3-week James Bond special. It was so cool. It was so much fun. Everyone should watch it. You know who you are if you haven't seen it. I thought, we might as well, we have 2 shows left in April. We might as well just throw as many spy things as we can into the mix. So what we're going to do is we're going to do, this week we're going to do all things connected somehow through James Bond, but basically our big subject is all things spy. Another chance to take. I'll talk you all live to see tomorrow. Secret agent man, secret agent man, they give you a number, I know they take away. So yes, we are doing all things James Bond today, and it is going to be a great show. But of course, I can never do this stuff by myself. So that is why I have my friends with me. I have 2 of the best secret agents in the world with me. I have next to me, I have my friend, Secret Agent Christy. Say hi, Secret Agent Christy.
I'm your best friend now?
Yes, you are my best friend.
Thank you.
I know. How cool is that? So, and then of course across from me I have my other best friend, Secret Agent. I have Secret Agent Dylan. Say hi, Secret Agent Dylan.
Hi, Daniel.
All right, awesome. Great to have you guys back, of course. It's a lot of fun. So we're going to throw as many spy things as we can into the mix today. And we're going to kick it off basically with connecting things to Bond himself. So this can mean like anything that the actors have done, anything connecting to Bond as like a parody or as in other works. So one of the first things... Including fan fiction.
I'm looking at you, Daniel.
Yes, you are. One of the first things that I want to talk about is right when the Bond franchise started, we got a huge, big flare in spy works because James Bond was becoming more popular and the 60s were growing, so we got a whole bunch of things. One of the big things, though, came out when the Bond films were still going on with Connery still playing the role as Bond. And that thing was in 1967 when a thing called Casino Royale came out. Now, let's say this really quick. Casino Royale, this one is not Daniel Craig. So, yay! Not Daniel Craig! Woo! Oh.
Daniel?
Sorry.
Daniel, be nice.
Sorry.
Be nice to Mr. Craig.
I'll behave.
Yeah, Daniel, be nice to Daniel.
Yeah, that's you're not wrong. You have to be nice to Daniel Craig here. No. We love Mr. Craig. He's great. But yes, this Casino Royale is actually not the real thing. This is a spoof on not only the book itself but James Bond. So I personally have only seen a few clips for this, but have you guys seen this thing?
I have yet to see it, but I do know of a infamous feud that happened on set.
Oh, and what was that?
It was the feud between Peter Sellers and Orson Welles, and apparently they hated each other so much that in a scene where the 2 characters are looking at each other, it was shot on 2 separate days with a double in each of their places.
Really?
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
Well, Dylan.
McMurray.
Yeah.
McMurray.
Dylan, have you seen this film?
Yes, I have. It is not a good movie by any means, but it is very funny. It's really just about James Bond is retiring, but as he's retiring, he turns out that his identity's been stolen, and there are, I think, over 20 other people with the name James Bond, including a chimpanzee, a seal. This is how ridiculous it is.
This is starting to get a little weird.
Yeah. And one of the James Bonds, Jimmy Bond, or Dr. Noah, played by Woody Allen, wants to kill all men above like 5'4" and make all women beautiful, so he will be like the target. It is weird. It is funny. It's over the top. The ending is just, yeah. It needs to be seen to be believed. It is not James Bond by any means necessary, but it's just, I don't know. It's just, you should probably check it out.
But I mean, this, from what you guys have said, this really did have a pretty big cast. I mean, because you're saying Orson Welles, Peter Sellers,
Woody Allen,
David Niven.
David Niven was in that, and it's kind of funny because
his name in that movie is Evelyn Tremble.
Evelyn Tremble. I mean, that right there is a is a Bond
It also
parody name.
has not Orson Welles. I'm sorry, Ursula Andress.
Yeah.
So they actually got a Bond person in this film, or
Bond girl. Yeah.
Bond girl, yeah.
She plays Vesper.
Yep.
Okay, yeah.
The first Vesper.
The first
Yeah.
Vesper.
So, that is quite the cast, and I'm not saying it's a good film. I think it's funny, but it's not good at all. It's so bad it's good.
Right, and that's not to say that this is not the only spy-esque film that Peter Sellers and David Niven appear in. They appear in another thing earlier in 1963, which really a lot of people know them for. It's a little thing that, you'll know what it is. So yes, they both appeared in the 1963 Pink Panther, and then Peter Sellers would go on, of course, to appear in many other Pink Panther films in the series. But yeah, and the other thing is that actually even before the Bond franchise got started in 1962, even before Connery and Broccoli came out in Dr. No, there was a thing called Climax, which was like a TV special type of program in where they had, where they also did Casino Royale, and they had Barry Nelson, an actor named Barry Nelson, play James Bond, and he was kind of referred to as Jimmy Bond in some points, but not all the time as well. So maybe that's where they got the Jimmy Bond idea.
Probably. I mean, it's a funny,
Yeah.
like Jimmy Bond, really.
Yeah. Also the Climax Casino Royale also featured an actor that's so much fun to impersonate, Peter Lorre.
Yeah.
He would definitely be a good Bond villain.
He would be a very good Bond villain, I think. You're absolutely right.
Speaking of Bond villain, I believe Orson Welles is Le Chiffre in Casino Royale.
And I see it. And
So,
I,
He is.
well, he's the first.
and I bet he's not doing
The
anything
first
to Bond's nether regions in this version of Casino Royale.
No, he's actually a very fat Le Chiffre. He looks like more of like just a cut.
Well, that's Orson Welles. That's his look.
I know, it's just funny though. Like you don't like a big director like Orson Welles in this screwball comedy.
Oh, and another thing to mention about the 1967 Casino Royale, if I'm not mistaken, Peter Sellers actually got fired from the movie, and he
Did
didn't
he?
finish the scenes. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, once again, the movie is something you need to check out.
Right. Right.
It is not a good movie, but it's probably one of those things where you can watch and just have a laugh.
Well,
at
it's one of those.
ridiculous. It
Yeah, and
is.
it's one of those first big James Bond parodies, which they would continue on, right from the start. But like I said,
A James Bond parody started its own parody.
exactly. When there's a formula to something, you immediately have to take that formula and do something with it that makes it completely different and funny. So, not only were movies being made to parody James Bond, but also TV series. And TV series can be taken in a silly direction and a serious direction. And probably one of the most famous interpretations of a James Bond parody or the spy universe came out in a silly way. And the silly way was a 1960s show featuring numbers, like 007, an agency, and silly kooky gadgets. And the title of the show actually had a double meaning. But I think it's safe enough to say that I think we should get smart about this. What do you think?
Yeah. let's do it.
All right. Let's get smart, shall we?
License to pun.
So yes, Get Smart was a 1960s TV show parodying all things spy. That what you just heard was the opening theme, and you heard kind of a James Bond sound to it. You heard that James Bond theme similarity, and
But there's a sense of comedic.
there is. And the loud booms you hear in that is that the opening title sequence of the series would be Maxwell Smart, played by Don Adams. Perfect, yeah. Could be going through these doors in some secret spy base, and the doors would close, and he would end up in a telephone booth, dial a number, and then sink down through a hole in the telephone booth. And then the end credits, he would come back up the booth, go through the doors, they would all close, one wouldn't, and then one would close actually on his nose. So, very, very funny gag.
This is a Mel Brooks series, isn't it?
This was Mel Brooks.
Perfect parody.
This was Mel Brooks.
By the master of parody.
This was done by one of the royalty members of parody, Mel Brooks. Which actually, by the way, I want to mention, I actually for the first time over the weekend saw Blazing Saddles. Very, very funny movie.
You watched a rated R movie, Daniel?
It's not rated R.
Yes, it is.
It's not.
Yes, it is.
I'm fact checking it.
Fact checking over here.
Wow.
Christy, everybody.
Yeah.
We love you, Christy.
No, Daniel, watching a rated R movie, that's awesome.
Actually, I think I know why it wasn't rated R, because they censored all the words.
Aw, that's... Aw, come on.
It's rated R.
Oh, well, okay.
That doesn't count.
Back to Get Smart, however. Like I said, the title has a double meaning. The agent's name is Maxwell Smart, of course, but he's not that smart, actually. So, the title means, let's get him, and then, somebody can say, don't be stupid, get smart. And he also has a sidekick, which I think becomes his wife, Agent 99, played by Barbara Feldon. And, all these, it just immediately parodies Bond right away, because they have crazy gadgets, like his famous shoe phone. It's actually a phone with his shoe.
Organization called Chaos.
Chaos is the
Spectre.
villain. Chaos of Spectre. And one of my favorite inventions, the Cone of Silence.
Yes.
The Cone of Silence.
Yeah, and then they later made a, not exactly a remake, but basically it's a parody of a parody. I think it's the movie that came out about 10 years ago or so.
Yeah, with Steve Carell.
That's
and
it.
Anne
Yeah.
Hathaway.
Yeah.
The
like-
Rock.
The Rock, Alan Arkin.
Alan Arkin. Yeah.
That is-
Anne Hathaway, did you say
Yeah.
Anne Hathaway?
Yeah, and
She's
Hathaway
Agent
plays-
99.
Yeah, she's 99, yeah.
It is a movie worth checking out. I mean, I know fan of the series, but it is a movie worth checking out. You'll get laughs out of it, so yeah, you'll like it.
Yeah, I mean, when you usually get a movie adaptation of a famous series, and this isn't a long running thing. I think I've written like 5 or 6 seasons, but it's well known enough. So you got to be careful when there's a series that's well known enough and loved, and you make a movie adaptation.
I understand the series is very popular. The movie is not that bad. It's not that good, but it's watchable for the fans.
From what I know, they kept the theme song,
Yeah.
so I like that aspect.
And they didn't change much. They still have the Cone of Silence.
Okay, well,
They
the
still
Cone of
had
Silence.
Chaos. They had
Yeah,
Agent 99. Smart.
86. Yeah,
It's
they actually made
worth watching.
Don Adams made a Get Smart film called The Nude Bomb.
Or The Return of Maxwell Smart.
Yep, that's the one. And that was made in like the 80s, I want to say.
Oh,
But,
I've seen that movie. It is
Bad. But it also
a
actually...
bomb that destroys clothing, so Chaos's clothes will take over the fashion industry.
See, like that automatically references Bond,
Yeah.
because like these over-the-top plots, come on.
And pretty much everyone's naked throughout the whole movie. So
But actually, now that you said that, that reminds me of another, parody of the spy franchise, The Naked Gun.
yes,
The Naked Gun, which is
Leslie Nielsen.
Leslie Nielsen, very, very popular franchise, and I have yet to see those. Those are kind of like, I think those are kind of like airplane hotshot type movies, but
by the same people, Zucker Abrams.
yeah, Abrams, yeah, that's the name, yeah.
But no, the great movies. You can see the parodying spy movies, not just James Bond. Like you have the villain.
Yeah.
Ricardo Montalban.
Is he in
that's
that?
number one.
Is he in that?
Is one of them. You have the girl. You have the crazy gadgets like the watch that shoots like a sleep dart.
Okay, yeah, come on, like that. Come on.
Yeah. He's not a secret agent though. He's just a police officer.
Yeah, but I mean, it's close enough.
Oh, very much.
You know
so.
what I'm getting at.
And then Leslie Nielsen did a movie in the 90s called Spy Hard. A parody
Spy
of
Hard,
all
yes.
his parodies. I heard it's not the best movie, but
But I think the either it's just the music video or maybe even the opening credits, sung by Weird Al Yankovic, doing like
Yes,
a
that's a good one.
Thunderball type of song.
Yeah, and there's now there's like they're all swimming.
Yes.
There's fat women swimming all over, and then his head actually explodes.
Yes.
Fun.
Yes.
like scanners.
Like yeah, come on, give that to us. That is clearly. Even if you're not a fan of James Bond, you know who you are. You know that is clearly parodying the 007 franchise.
Oh, very much so. Very, very much so.
But actually, I want to take a quick segue or
Transition.
not transition. I just want to take a quick exit from the spy thing. You said Ricardo Montalban. I'm blanking on what that role he's famous for is. What's that role?
It was in Family Guy.
No, that's not it.
What about the Spy Kids movies?
no,
Yeah, he's in
no.
the Spy Kids movie. Spy Kids, Spies.
Spy
There we go.
Kids. Spy Kids is
Wow.
another one. Yeah. And I mean, Fantasy Island is one, but what's that?
Star Wars.
No, it's not Star Wars. Hold on.
Battlestar Galactica.
Give me a second.
This is cringy.
Okay, I'd say I'm sorry, but I'm really not. So I just had to get that out of my system.
Okay, that's 2 apologies you owe. You owe one to Daniel Craig and you owe one to every Star Trek person. He's cringing at your jokes.
Anyway, So I mean, yeah. So we've obviously talked about how Get Smart is kind of like a silly version of a parody, but I'd like to say that there can be also such a thing as a serious parody. I mean, do you guys agree that there can be such a thing as a serious parody?
Or also known as a ripoff.
A rip-off, yeah.
It's true.
Are you implying something?
It's true.
Maybe it is true. I mean, there are ripoffs stuff. Like,
Yeah.
But
But there's also homage.
One
Yes.
serious thing that is definitely connected to the spy world, and maybe can even be seen as sort of getting off the James Bond train, is another series that grew into a movie franchise and is still continuing on today, thanks to just one guy really. And it had a really kickin' theme song, and I don't even actually know if this is the series one or the movie one, but we'll find out. It's obviously called Mission Impossible. Alright, movie. So yeah, Mission Impossible. That was also a show that I think it leaked into the 70s a little bit, but it was a show that really was popular. Ran about 5 seasons, and it was famous for having smoke thrown in Peter Graves' face from exploding tape players. So have you guys first of all, bouncing real quick back to Get Smart? Have you guys? You saw the movie. Has anyone else seen the series?
No, I have not.
Maybe an episode or two, but it's been a while.
All right, so let's.
I've also seen the other yeah.
Yeah. How about Mission Impossible? Have we seen the series of Mission Impossible?
I should, but I have not.
Maybe a few episodes. More so the movies.
The
I haven't
movies.
really gotten into the movies actually. Maybe I've seen like one or two.
Yeah, I mean, they are kind of different things.
I wouldn't call them parodies either. They're just in part of the spy.
They're
genre.
kind of part of the spy world, yeah.
Not exact, because I mean, it's not like there's gadgets and everything. There are.
There are a
but
few
it's not like
gadgets.
there's
I mean, you have the one guy that would change his face, and he'd take off the
But
mask.
you have like serious villains though.
You do have serious villains, and the
Not like, Blofeld trying to start like a nuclear war. Just
True.
a villain that just wants to
true.
get a bomb and like blow up one thing just to send a message.
But the other famous thing about this show is that in the opening theme, which was the movie version that you heard, but the opening theme would show scenes from the show with a matchstick
Yeah.
going across the screen. And I like that the movies have continued that. Tom Cruise is kind of like the producer, star, head of these movies.
He's
right
the
now.
icon.
He's the icon.
Ethan, come on.
Yeah, Ethan Hunt. And they originally wanted, to connect it more to the series when they made the first film, but they unfortunately didn't get rights or didn't get the right actors. They wanted Peter Graves, but they got instead John Voight in the first film to play Peter Graves' character. And what are we on? Like our 7th Mission Impossible movie now?
What was the one that just came out? Not Rogue.
Fallout.
Fallout. Yes.
Fallout. Bond is on his 25th on his upcoming 25th movie. Do you think that 7 is enough for Mission Impossible?
The more money they make, the more movies. So I don't see an end anytime soon.
I think maybe I think Tom Cruise is Ethan Hunt, so I think they might end it after Tom Cruise quits.
Who originally played Ethan Hunt?
There was no Ethan Hunt. This is a totally original character.
Wow.
So they
Yeah, no. It's Tom Cruise. Like, they're gonna continue until he retires.
Yeah.
Retires, whatever.
He's
He's done when he's done. Oh, and for Daniel, for you big Star Trek fanatics, Mission Impossible 3, J.J. Abrams' first directing job.
Oh please, that's not the
Simon Pegg.
Oh please, those are not the only Star Trek connection that Mission Impossible has. Dylan, are you forgetting the fact that in the last 2 seasons of Mission Impossible there was somebody on that show? Did you know that this person was on the show?
I haven't seen it. Come on, man.
Well, fascinating is a word I use for the unexpected. Fascinating. Fascinating.
Come on, Daniel.
Yes, it is true. Leonard Nimoy, famous for playing Mr. Spock, was on the last 2 seasons of Mission Impossible. So this was way after Star Trek, and I think even definitely before the film started out. So we've basically tackled a couple of these big things that have come out so far, and when we come back, we're going to talk about a few more parodies that basically poke fun directly at Bond, but also some things that have also branched out from the spy universe. And you might even get a hint from our outro here. So when we come back, we'll talk more about these upcoming parodies. So stay tuned.
Ranger Station.
Yeah,
You guys got any tissues?
in the forest.
You guys got
One
any
second I'm having a
tissues?
smoke.
I do not.
Next thing I know,
I'll
I'm
just use
face
the
to face with
Clorox.
Smokey Bear, and he told me it only takes one spark to start a wildfire.
Did you know 9 out of 10 wildfires are caused by humans?
I had no idea.
God bless
Well,
Patrick
you're
Warburton.
famous and you're not. If you see someone in danger, start
Wave
a
everybody to the fans. Hi, fans.
By the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council. Learn more at
Right.
SmokeyBear.com. Only you can prevent wildfires.
I can't resist.
What?
I can't
I
resist.
just burned my face with the Clorox.
Yeah, you did.
So we are back, and I'm gonna go ahead and say that this kind of counts as bouncing off the James Bond track. First of all, I want to say I have a book that I like to look at sometimes that asks a lot of different questions, and they can be all over the world, different types of questions. But one that seems to have an ongoing debate is that the question is, are you Team James Bond or Team Jason Bourne? So, and that actually leaks into another type of spy universe type of thing. The Bourne films. Are those... Have you guys seen any Bourne films?
I've seen the first and second one.
No,
So
I've never seen him.
I mean, are those anywhere connected to Bond, or are they like a different thing just connected to the spy universe?
I think it's just spy universe because it's mostly about a spy who gets amnesia and he's trying to figure out who he is, and it's kind of James Bond is better.
Ah, wow. Good answer. Good answer. But because my parents have gotten into it so much that I want to actually include another JB name in there. I want to include Jack Bauer of 24, because 24, from what I've been told from my parents, who are obsessed with the show, and they say I'm obsessed with the shows.
You
Ha!
are. You are.
Ha!
You are.
Yeah. Do we have any Wonder Years queued up? Anyway, they say Jack Bauer is very much like James Bond, because Bond actually, and I support this. James Bond uses one tactic all the time: use what you have in your surroundings. So I know, Christy, you've seen a little 24.
Yeah, I've seen probably the first half of the first season.
And I mean, so do you think that Jack Bauer, without, is kind of like a Daniel Craig type of Bond, not using too many gadgets, but just goes out and saves the world?
Yeah, pretty much. And he's like, in the first one, he's trying to prevent an assassination of a presidential candidate, and it's pretty good. He's got some good one-liners too.
Yeah.
Like when he goes when there's one guy who he thinks is someone else, he turns around and is like, "Hello, so and so," or is your name this?
Yeah.
And then he drives him around in a car. It's pretty crazy.
And it's kind of funny that some of the other lines that he says, so that I don't even know if we can say it, but I'm just gonna play it safe and say no. But yeah, I mean, I think I've actually seen a little bit of 24 as well over the weekend, and it's there are some Bond elements. I mean, he does work for an organization, saves the world, has a gun. I don't know what other similarities you can get there. But let's actually dive into a little bit of the kid universe here. This was actually one of the three main things before I got into Bond that I asked about when I went to the International Spy Museum in Washington, D.C. I
That
asked...
exists?
Yes, oh, you didn't know that?
No.
Did you know that?
No, I've only heard about the National Crime Museum, which doesn't exist anymore.
That's gone?
I've heard.
Oh,
so
really?
I've heard.
No, the International Spy Museum, it is real. It's a very, very cool museum about spies, and then, of course, they have a huge Bond section. But the first time I went there, I asked about Get Smart, Mission Impossible, and this thing, because I was like, I don't even know how old I was. But this also, it has detectives, because those are kind of spies as well. And they did have some stuff about this. So, thoughts on if this counts as a spy connection, maybe?
very much James Bond.
Oh, okay, so you were just coming out of the gate and saying...
Actually, yes, it is. I would say this: it's a combination of it has many James Bond elements, but I think it goes more towards the Pink Panther.
Pink Panther, okay.
Because even when Inspector Gadget, he even looks like Clouseau.
Yeah.
And in the first episode, he actually had a mustache, but they took it out.
Right.
I will also say that, I mean, who is it? Dr. Claw. You
Yeah.
never see his face, like another Bond villain.
Yeah, exactly.
Has a white cat.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
think so.
yeah.
Yeah, it has a white cat.
Yeah.
Inspector Gadget. Come on, Gadget.
Gadget, yeah.
And
Exactly.
Dr. Claw runs an organization called MAD.
Yeah, so I mean,
Spectre.
all the elements are there.
Yes, and
But Christy is right. You are right. Pink Panther, because I mean he's an
He's a
idiot.
goof. And also,
Don't watch the movies, by the way.
oh no, we all know how much Dylan loves the first movie with
Matthew Broderick.
and it actually shows Claw's face. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. Hey, at least you gotta give him credit for... You gotta give the movies this credit. They actually gave him an actual claw
Yeah.
for a hand. That's... I'll give him like 5 points for that.
And his name is Stanford Skolex.
That's just weird.
Yeah. They never call him Dr. Claw. They always call him Skolex.
It's also another one of those dumb origin stories.
Origin story alert. Well, I mean, here's kind of a spy connection. The voice of Inspector Gadget is Don Adams. It's Maxwell Smart doing the voice.
Actually,
Actually,
I did not
Really?
know that.
Yeah, you didn't know that?
Yeah, I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
that is Don Adams doing the voice of Gadget. So I mean, there's kind of a connection. But as much as a parody that you can say Inspector Gadget is of James Bond and a little bit Pink Panther, there have been a couple of spy films out there that have personally just pointed all their Walther PPKs at Bond and say, "Hi, we're parodying you big time." And one of them is probably one of the most famous ones that I really actually don't like. I'm gonna be honest here, but it's just so gosh darn fake. Christy's giving me a death stare. But I gotta be honest, it's very, very famous, very, very well known. Can you guess what it is?
I didn't hear you say that. I didn't hear you say that.
Okay, that's enough of that. That's giving me a headache.
Daniel,
Sorry.
that's 3 apologies.
Strike 3, you're out.
Yeah.
It's my show, though.
But it's time to organize a coup, a
Yes.
two-man coup against Daniel's show.
No.
Wouldn't have been the first time.
No, but that's Austin Powers.
Austin Powers, yeah, Austin Powers. I
That
mean,
is the parody of James
it's a
Bond.
huge parody of James Bond.
Yes.
Mike Myers comes out of the gate with his first film, International Spy of
International Man of Mystery.
Man of Mystery. Thank you. And okay, here's the thing about Austin Powers. They parody all these James Bond elements, and then they draw a line because they focus more on the '60s Bond.
Yes.
Right down to the outfit, the looks.
They go to the 60s in the
Yes.
second movie.
Do they really?
Yeah.
Yeah, time travel.
No,
Why
second.
not?
Yeah, second
Second
movie
movie.
and third movie.
Third movie too.
Yeah.
Why not? That's one thing Bond has not
And
done.
they're still they're making a fourth one.
Are they
Still,
Really?
yeah.
Yes,
but
and-
without Vern Troyer though.
Yes.
Rest in peace,
Rest
by
in
the way.
peace. Rest in peace. Mini me. But
Oh.
the first Austin Powers movie was really funny. It
It's
was
so
so
funny.
funny.
Well, I give Mike Myers credit for this because he plays Austin Powers, which Austin Powers himself is not really a Bond type of person.
But the personality of like the womanizing, it's definitely there.
Well, that's
Yeah.
there. And then he also plays the villain, which is totally Bond, Dr. Evil.
Dr. Evil.
Dr. Evil.
With the white cat, the bald,
Yes,
the
yes.
bald head,
He-
the the costume.
The costume. He clearly looks like Blofeld, and he looks like the actual Blofeld, played by Donald Pleasance
The best one.
and Telly Savalas, and not to be confused with
Charles Gray.
That's right, we're still picking on Charles Gray. We're still picking on Charles Gray,
Yeah.
even though...
And, I also really liked one of the villains, which was a Random Task.
Yeah.
Parody of Odd Job.
Odd Job.
And that
yeah.
guy is
In prison,
prison
for life.
for murder and
Kidnapping
Yeah.
and torture.
Oh, wow.
Joe's son is his name.
he was a
Yeah.
wrestler and he was
Yeah.
not a good wrestler, but
Wow.
yeah,
He
Odd Job was
Yeah.
the Hail
Heavily
Sakai.
parodied.
Random Task throws his shoe.
Who throws a shoe? Honestly,
Well, I mean, come on, you had to do something and not use Odd Job's hat. But yeah, they went ahead and made this movie, and then they made 2 more sequels, massively parodying James Bond titles.
Mhm.
But is this the definitive James Bond parody?
Yes.
yes, it's a definitive one.
It's a definitive one. I'll give you that.
But no, like everything's there though. You got the girl, the spy, the organization. You was a
the clear Blofeld
yeah.
parody.
Basil Exposition is essentially M.
They have the, and they also have the, when, at one point in the movie,
You have the henchman.
Dr. Evil wears wears a suit that's like what he's wearing in Dr. No when
Yeah.
they're
Right.
doing the nuclear testing.
And there are a lot of famous lines, especially from Mike Myers, as both Austin Powers and Dr. Evil. You know, like Austin Powers has his "Yeah, baby."
$1 million.
Yeah, remind me of that amount that Dr. Evil wants.
$1
$1 million.
Why does he do that
You know,
with a finger?
$1 million
Because it's evil.
isn't exactly a lot of money today. You know, we make way more than that. Okay, how about $100 billion?
And doesn't he want sharks with lasers?
Sharks with laser beams.
Laser in quotes.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah. So
Oh,
so, yeah.
also, number 2, played by Robert Wagner and Rob Lowe. That's Largo, the eye patch.
Yeah, the eye patch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right there. Who
Not
is
to mention just sharks.
Will
Sharks.
Ferrell is in the first 2. Mustafa.
Mustafa.
You shot me in the arm.
Frau von Bissner's a little bit of Rosa Klebb and Irma Bunn.
Mm.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. So I mean, yeah, there are a lot of points.
He even uses a Walther PPK. Walther PPK.
He does?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I did not know that. Well, you know, it's definitely a definitive James Bond parody series.
Don't forget, Gold member is Goldfin. Come on.
I mean,
it's
obviously.
right.
And you know what
It's right.
You know what's the possible title for the 4th one?
What?
Do I want it? Is it radio appropriate?
Sure.
Oh, okay. If he said sure, never mind.
Okay, it's going to be called possibly Thunderballs.
Well, okay, fine.
Okay, that's funny.
But here's actually another franchise that I know is heavily supported by James Bond. Johnny English.
Not familiar.
Not familiar with it.
I remember when Johnny English Reborn came out, but in all honesty, I'm sorry, Rowan Atkinson, but this is kind of a forgettable series.
Is it really?
I believe so.
I haven't seen it, but I mean, from what I've seen, you know, like from trailers and stuff like that, and what I've read, it's very, very much James Bond.
Definitely.
I mean, you know, that name is a definite parody.
Yeah, definitely. And there's also these really I think in Johnny English Reborn there's a really funny parody scene that I watched of Casino Royale and the one with Craig, and it's when they're doing the whole parkour scenes and the villain who's running away is doing all these parkour things and Johnny English just simply walks like across a beam or something or up an elevator. It's so funny.
I mean, but they must be doing something right because they made a trilogy themselves. They did Johnny English Reborn, and then Johnny English Strikes Again.
Hey, you have an Englishman too, so that's
Yeah, Rowan Atkinson, who for once is actually talking in a role, unlike Mr. Bean. So there you go.
Well, he talks in that, but it's mostly mumbles.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. I haven't seen. I probably would see. I don't know too much about Johnny English, but something tells me I'd feel like I'd watch that more than Austin Powers.
You've got to see Austin Powers. Come on,
Yes, you do.
please.
You do.
You will not be insulted. You will laugh, and a
Watch,
big James Bond
watch,
fanatic
watch,
like you will.
watch,
All right, hey,
watch.
let's hypnotize him.
Yeah, let's just hypnotize him into watching it.
Let's revolt and then hypnotize him.
I got a better idea. You're gonna love this.
No, it's not.
I got a better idea. Let's go to another public service announcement instead, and we'll hear one of my favorite things about James Bond parodies is the songs. People come out and do songs, kind of like Spy Hard. But I love it when they actually directly mention 007 himself. So I'm gonna play this song a little bit, and we're gonna go into a public service announcement, and we'll be right back with some more spy genre Bond parody, good times and stuff.
License to kill, mixing business with girls and thrills. I've seen you on the screen, it's you that I adore. Since I was a boy, I wanted to be like Roger Moore. A girl in every port, and gadgets up my sleeve. The war is not enough for the both of us, it seems. So I wish I was James Bond, just for the day, kissing all the girls, all the bad guys away. And I wish I was James Bond, just for the day, kissing all the girls, all the bad guys away.
Ranger station, Ranger speaking.
Hi, I'd like
Going
to
too bad.
report there.
No, I think
Yeah.
we're good. We will not run out of material. I
No.
will say that. We will
I
not
saw some
run out of
like dry brush and leaves around, so I said to move the bonfire somewhere else, and out of
Yeah,
nowhere,
what?
Smokey Bear shows up and hugs me.
So you noticed some wildfire hazards and moved your bonfire to a safer location.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's Smokey, all right. He likes it when people help prevent wildfires. It hits them close to home. Not everybody gets the hug, my friend. So it's pretty special to get a hug from Smokey Bear.
so it was him. Hey, guys, I told you it was Smokey.
Okay, well, congratulations, my friend. And thanks for calling.
Oh,
There are
Patrick.
many ways to prevent a
Oh,
wildfire.
thank you.
Learn how you can do your part.
The deep voice.
SmokeyBear.com.
I know. I mean,
Only
obviously.
you can prevent wildfires.
He's in hoodwinked.
Sponsored by the U.S. Forest Service, Ad Council, and your state forest.
Ben in Black 2.
Has a license to kill. With a dollar on life, he has the greatest of skill. If he's not
You've seen the Golden Tusk
you
already,
can
right?
bet that he will. James Bond is his name. From Kingston to Jamaica to the streets of Bombay, wherever there's trouble, he is not far away. 007 means the crime doesn't pay. James Bond is his name.
So yes, like I said before, two of my favorite things when it comes to James Bond parodies is the music. The first thing you heard was before the break was a song called "I Wish I Was James Bond." It references a whole bunch of things according to Bond, even my favorite, Roger Moore. But all 6 of them are actually mentioned by name at the end of the song. And the thing that you just heard as we came back was a song called it's the James Bond theme. It's the theme that everybody knows and loves. But this group called the Four Esquires put lyrics to it, and they actually fit quite well, I think. So one thing again, let's bounce back to TV again real quick, and let's talk about some of the Bond actors themselves. Really quickly, Sean Connery has done some other things. He did some other films, but he didn't really do too much television. But Roger Moore did. Roger Moore did a show called The Saint.
I've heard of it.
Yeah.
What do you guys know about The Saint?
Isn't it like a modern day Robin Hood, I think?
Something like that, I think.
I've seen. I just know about it. I don't think I've ever seen the show.
I believe they actually made a film starring with Val Kilmer, actually, I think in like the 90s.
I believe so.
90s, I want to say. But one thing about Roger Moore, since we're talking about him, is that he actually parodied not only Bond, but he parodied himself as Bond in a film called Cannonball Run.
Yes.
That had another ensemble cast, had a couple Rat Pack members in there.
I haven't seen it, but I know about it. My dad loves the movie, so.
I mean, but Roger comes out being Bond practically, and his first scene is basically he confronts his mother, and the actor's playing his mother, and she says, "What is this?" And she finds a Walther, and he basically is just taunting her with the gun pointed at her. And when he fires, this flag comes out, a bang flag, and throughout the whole movie he has the Aston Martin. He has the Aston Martin. He uses gadgets. He has an attractive lady with him throughout the whole thing. And even when a fight breaks out, he confronts a big bully by saying, "I must warn you, I am Roger Moore." Who? Roger Moore. And then he gets socked in the mouth. But it's pretty funny actually. And one other big TV thing was in the spy world actually, The Man from U.N.C.L.E. Anybody know about The Man from U.N.C.L.E.?
I've heard of that TV show, and then later made it into a movie recently.
Well, everything's a movie now.
Well, I mean, they always are trying to bring famous shows into the TV world.
Now we're getting Netflix, so that's even good.
Oh yeah, but The Man from U.N.C.L.E. was a pretty big show, and then they also had the Woman from U.N.C.L.E. I think as well. But the one thing about that show I like that even before the film with Henry Cavill, who I think should be the next James Bond, came out, they actually made a TV film which was called The Return to the Man from U.N.C.L.E. And U.N.C.L.E. is an abbreviation for an agency. And a lot of people came back to that film, including the star Robert Vaughn. One of my favorite things, though, is that in a car chase, another car joins the group. A car, Aston Martin, gadget-filled, and the guy driving the car is named JB. And guess who plays JB?
Justin Bieber.
Very good. That is actually the most incorrect answer you could have given, but
Timothy Dalton?
George Lazenby.
Wow.
Lazenby came back as quote-unquote Bond in this TV movie, already based into the spy world.
It's a crossover.
It must have been short on money because Lazenby is the worst in my opinion.
I don't know. I don't know why they got Lazenby, but he still puts in a good performance, and you can look up the scene on YouTube, and he's still giving out puns and having a grand old time and having a good time. So that was his return as Bond, and then Timothy Dalton, he's done some other work as well. Personally, I think from a couple of weeks ago, one of my favorite moments of him was this.
Mess around, you gonna be strong.
Stop.
But I really love you.
Ooh, stop.
Okay, but that's enough of that.
He was recently in the series Penny Dreadful.
Did they make a series out of that?
Yep.
I didn't know that.
Very good series. It just ended. Toy Story.
Toy Story, yeah, he's Prickle Pants.
Yeah, and I thought he killed it in the role in the movie Hot Fuzz, which was a really good Simon Pegg movie.
That's right. And he's also, I think, in this new Doom Patrol series.
I think, yeah.
Which is just very on him, I think. But it's three words that keep ringing in my ears. It's called acting. But one thing, just kind of like Lazenby, he comes back as a very Bond-like person.
He is Bond. He's
in a film called Looney Tunes Back in Action, which I swear is a role that either he loved or regrets to this day.
I think he seems to be having a good time. He doesn't seem to be slumming it in the movie.
True. If you remember the time that we talked about our live-action cartoon hybrids, which I think was our second show, I think, on As the Real Turns, but we talked about Looney Tunes Back in Action, how it was a 2003 film that made fun of the spy genre, very in particular Bond. Super spy, if Daffy Duck calls it. And they actually went ahead and got a Bond actor, Timothy Dalton.
The serious Bond.
The
too.
serious Bond.
Oh God.
To make
You've never seen
1,000
it,
parodies. Christy, are you unaware of this?
I don't think I was aware.
It is very funny.
It's very, very. It's just.
It's very self-referential.
It's hilarious, but it's baffling how well Dalton is just. Yeah, I'll do it.
Damian Drake.
Yeah, that's Dalton's name in this film.
His movie. He's an actor. Who plays this James Bond character. One of his movies that's coming out is called License to Spy.
Yeah, I wonder where they got that title from.
He has an Aston Martin.
That's right, he does, yeah.
He's a real-life super spy.
I mean, you know, what else would they get? But yeah, listen to this dialogue here. He's trying, I think, so hard not to be James Bond here. Take a listen.
Son, Dad, I wanted to keep you out of this, but there's no one else I can trust. And all of a sudden,
Are you shooting a movie or something?
Are you filming a Drake movie? Cool.
come to Las Vegas. That's Dusty Tales, the blue monkey diamond, a very special diamond. Find Dusty Tales. Uh-oh. No, sorry, I never told you this before, but
So clearly, and from what I just played, there's clearly somebody put in License to Kill over the clips there, so that even makes it more of a connection. But he's trying so hard.
It's James Bond.
It is. It is.
I'm at a loss for words.
You're-
You need to see this movie.
Christy,
if you like Looney Tunes, you'll like this.
Am I sensing movie night? Movie night. Movie night. Movie night. Yeah, I mean, why not? Really, why not? But Dalton has also done other work. Yes, we all know he sang in that Mae West film, and then also he actually played Rhett Butler in a Gone with the Wind.
He hates that film with Mae West.
Well, he had to sing. He probably hates it a lot. But he also had to do, Rhett Butler in the Gone with the Wind sequel, Scarlet, which is just kind of funny because you have a Welshman playing a Southern gentleman, which is, I think, kind of funny. But also, I want to skip really quick to Craig. Craig has done other work, probably some things that he actually regrets. One of those including a little thing called Cowboys and Aliens.
Oh my God! I remember when that came out.
Jon Favreau.
Was that a Jon Favreau thing?
That was Jon Favreau.
Harrison Ford and Daniel Craig.
Yeah, Daniel Craig was in that.
A couple big stars in that, yeah.
What was that film trying to do?
It's based on a comic, so.
It is?
One really good movie with Tom Hanks and Daniel Craig is Road to Perdition.
Is Daniel Craig in that?
Yeah, he's one of the main bad guys. He's a
Bad guy.
it's a 1930s gangster movie. Really good.
Oh, okay. Wait a minute. Yeah, I've heard of that.
Yeah, it's directed by Sam Mendes, another Bond.
Yeah,
director.
Spectre
that's
and
right.
Skyfall.
That's right. He did do Spectre and Skyfall. But I mean, like, he's also done the film where we heard him singing, which was kind of cool. And I don't know. I mean, Golden Compass.
Yeah.
That's one. But let's also really quick backtrack to Pierce Brosnan, because Pierce Brosnan, he along with Dalton was someone that the cast and crew was trying to get to play James Bond for a long time, and one of the main reasons Brosnan couldn't do it was because he was roped into this.
Remington Steele.
And that, of course, is the theme song to Remington Steele. Now, Remington Steele, very, very James Bond-esque, I think.
Yeah, well, I think what's his name isn't the main character supposed to be like a criminal?
Something like that, I think.
No.
But he was Pierce Brosnan was stuck to that show for a while, and when they were about to cast him as James Bond,
It got renewed.
It got renewed, and NBC was like, "Hey, come on back here, because we want you to still be in this role." Yeah, and it basically centers around Brosnan is teamed up with a private investigator, and she actually creates this character named Remington Steele. However, the thief, you're right, becomes Remington Steele. So. And takes the identity of that. But actually, it's funny that the first episode of the series is called License to Steal. So, I mean, come on! We're just asking for it. And I unfortunately can't find it right now, but there's a funny clip of, we mentioned Cowboys and Aliens, where Harrison Ford is introducing Daniel Craig at a premiere of the film, and, he kind of sounds like me at points, because what he says is, "It was great working with the whole cast and crew, all the other actors, and that other guy." And you can hear from the back of the auditorium, Daniel Craig saying, "I'm not coming out. I'm not coming out." And wait, introduce him. Oh, what's his name? Daniel Craig. And it's kind of funny. So if you can find that clip, unlike me, good for you. I can't find it right now. But yeah, it's we've discussed a lot of parodies. Are there any other parodies you think that could be included in the James Bond or spy world?
Yeah, dipping into the world of video games, actually. If any of you have heard the computer games Spy Fox, about this, it's a children's entertainment game, and it follows an organization and led by Spy Fox. They're all animals, and come on, the secretary is named Monkey Penny.
Are you serious?
Oh
Serious.
My God.
These are fun games. Spy Fox Enjoy Cereal. Spy Fox, the Cheese Chase. One of the villains is named Poodles Galore.
Okay, now you're just making it up.
No, I'm not kidding. And then there's Professor Quack, who gives them all the gadgets. It's Q. Come on.
Yeah.
And
Q is also kind of featured in Back in Action, Looney Tunes, thanks to Joan Cusack.
yes,
Something that
I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. Look up Spy Fox.
I'm gonna regret it probably.
No, you won't. It's, I own some of the games.
Oh,
I own it on my computer.
And actually, something we never brought up was we talked about the Casino Royale, which was a parody, but there's one movie that I have yet to see, which was unofficial, but it was James Bond. It was a movie called Never Say Never Again.
Oh, you're just re-saying that from 2 weeks ago. We did bring that up.
Yeah, but we didn't talk about it in depth.
No. Oh,
But
and
it doesn't deserve to be talked about because screw Kevin McClory.
Language.
no, it's not bad.
Actually, it's funny that you bring up video games, though, because that's another thing that, we didn't actually discuss in our previous 3 weeks connected directly to Bond, were the video games that have come out in Bondom. Because, they've evolved so much, and especially when Brosnan took over, GoldenEye N64 was big. They've made a lot of other video games based on his films. And then we also got... two big original ones, Nightfire, and one of my personal favorite ones, Everything or Nothing.
Yes.
You're going to lose your stream, but that's okay. So yeah, Everything or Nothing was pretty big, and then they even made, and Craig started making games based on his films and original ones as well.
They remade GoldenEye.
Remade GoldenEye, which was stupid.
Rogue